Welcome to the Lead Pedal Podcast with your host, Bruce Outridge, where he talks all things trucking. Now let's get rolling.
Hello, welcome to the Lead Pedal Podcast. I'm your host, Bruce Outridge. This is episode number 952, and today we're going to share with you some of the hot topics we've been talking about for the month of March. There's lots of stuff going on in transportation. We want to share some of that with you, so stay tuned.
Hey folks, we often think that truck training facilities only train new drivers looking to be employed in the industry. That's a lie. The fact is, truck training schools like Ontario Truck Driving School offer corporate training for clients in transportation, heavy equipment, and more. The training staff will come to your location and train your team at your location on your equipment. You determine the schedule, and this program is great for fleets with many drivers. To learn how Ontario Truck Driving School can help you efficiently train your team, visit their website at otds.com.
All right, as you know, we have our show, our weekly show, LPR Live, and every once in a while we take out some of the topics we've talked about that, and we put them into a little bit of a podcast to bring you up to date in case you haven't heard. But you want to join us on LPR Live. Not only do we have all of these topics, but we also play some great music in between there, which we can't do on the podcast. So it's a lot of fun. And here's some of the hot topics that we've shared for the month of March 2023. All right, hey, welcome back to LPR Live. I'm your host, Bruce Outridge. So let's get on with some of the headlines that we've got going on for today. We're looking at a lorry driver that admits causing death of a doctor by careless driving. That's in England. The white man stereotype is over. That's what Faces is saying. More women, more ethnic people getting into the industry. So that's something we've been seeing all along. Hey, Hewlin Roland says that Lisa Kelly was brought on to Ice Road Truckers just to raise the ratings. I bet you that worked pretty well. Hey, there's a CT trucker that's criticizing expensive high taxes in the Insider. And a West Haven driver was charged in a fiery crash that injured a number of people. There's a truck driver facing charges in connection to West Hartford West Hartford transit bus crash that killed somebody there. That's never good. The foreign workers are filing human rights complaints against the Manitoba Trucking Company. Parking for semis, they're saying, is so scarce in Nebraska that it leaves truckers in peril and feeling homeless. Well, you're not homeless, you got your truck. You just need a place to park it. I guess you can feel homeless like that. Hey, there's a video on CTV News showing a man hanging off the back of a transport truck. Have you seen that one? That one's been on social media and everything. Please don't do that. I know that we used to, this one was raising the guy just getting a ride right down the highway. But remember when you used to have that long cord coming out of the back door and the kids would slide in the snow behind your truck? Make sure you know what's going on behind your vehicle. People are honking at you. Maybe they're honking for a reason. There's a trucker that broke his silence over a fiery crash, and a truck driver's charged after a Durham pedestrian was struck. There's some of your headline news for you, and we'll be right back after a little diesel smoke. Don't do that with that guy. No hanging off truck. Our next story here came across our LinkedIn profile, and I thought this was interesting because, and it's not about trucking, but basically what the message said was super skilled operator. However, as a project director, would you promote or fire someone for this behavior? Now, here's the behavior. This guy is driving a dozer, a big tractor. What do you call it? I guess a dozer. I don't know anything about heavy equipment, but it's a big heavy equipment piece. Big, not a Bobcat, bigger, 4 times the size. Anyway, so what he's doing, very skilled operator, digging out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of, looks like they're putting in a pipeline or something. And he has to cross a pipeline. In order to do what he has to do, he has to go from one side of the pipeline to the other. So what he's doing, he's very skilled that he's able to use the bucket of the tractor and the one side tread and lift one tread over the pipeline and then do it again. Think of straddling a small fence. If you put one leg on one side of the fence and then you bring your other leg over on the other side. That's what he's basically doing for a little pipeline that is running on the middle of the ground. But he's got to basically straddle this and then get on either side of it to dig the hole or whatever he's doing. So he's very skilled at this. I mean, to do what he's doing is like basically what you would see if you were at one of these rodeos or something like that for heavy equipment, right? It's pretty cool what you can do. And I don't know how hard this is to do or not. I've never driven heavy equipment. So now the question is, if you saw the person doing this, would you fire them for it or would you praise them for it? He's obviously skilled and knows how to drive, so that's not an issue. He's probably one of your best guys from what I can see. But what would you do as a project director, as a boss, as a supervisor? Would you be encouraging this type of behavior, or would you be going, hey, you know what, that's not really safe? He could drop this down. I mean, if he wasn't so skilled, he could end up dropping this down right on that pipeline and bursting whatever's in this pipeline, and then they'd have a real disaster. So I can see from a management, being a supervisor myself, I can see from a management side how that could be a problem. But what are you thinking? So I don't know. I think based on what I'm seeing, and there's a video here on, I don't have it for you guys, of course, listening to the radio, but there is a video here on LinkedIn showing the guy doing what he's doing. And it's pretty cool. It actually is pretty cool and pretty skilled. And I don't think this is the first time he's done this. And judging by the line of the pipe, he's going to be doing it a lot for the rest of the time. So I don't think in this incident he would be, discouraged from doing this, because this is probably how you have to do it, or else you bring in double the machinery. I guess maybe that's the other thing. But some people do get wild, right? We see this all the time. If you've ever watched forklift videos, some of the stuff they do on forklifts should just not be on video or being done anywhere else. So is this good practice or not? What's your thoughts? Leave us a message in our chats and let us know what you think about that. I don't have a problem with that. I would have a problem if he was doing it for no reason other than just to show off. But because he's doing it to try and actually get the work done, I think that is, and I'm sure, I don't know, like I say, I'm sure it's a big construction company that they probably discussed that, figured out that was the best option. Someone qualified could do that. I'm sure not everybody can do that, and he's quite qualified to do this. I could not do this, which I think is pretty cool. So what's your thoughts? Would you fire someone? I'm going to say no, I wouldn't fire him for this, but if it was just for goofing around, I would have to say something. Anyway. Hey folks, in today's economy, it's what you keep in your pocket that's important. And that means your taxes as well. And you know what? I want to tell you about RS2000 Tax Services. They specialize in the trucking industry. That's right. Whether you're an owner operator, a carrier, a truck driver, it doesn't matter. They can help you because they understand the importance of you being on the road and the kind of things that you're going to come up against. And so they can help you. And I got to tell you, they are extremely proud of the service they provide because they provide it to most of Ontario. They're available 7 days a week, 12 months of the year. That's right. The people that are going to be dealing with you are going to be at your home, at your business, wherever you need them to come to, because they understand that you're traveling. You don't have time to go and drive somewhere else on a weekend. You've only got a certain amount of time to be with your family. So they come to you. You can ask them questions anytime at 1-800-304-3986. And they operate Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Although they're consultants and accountants that deal with you, work with your schedule. So you will be available there. If you want to give them a call, again, tell them that the Lead Pedal Podcast sent you at 1-800-304-3986. Or you can visit their website at rs2000tax.com. They're in Komoka, Ontario, but they don't want you to go there. That's why they come to you. Who can find Komoka? Anyway, we've been dealing with them for a while. They've been in business since 1994, and I can tell you, we've had them here on the podcast many times talking about their services, so you can go and listen to any of those episodes if you want to hear what they have to say. But they have been around for a long time. They specialize in trucking, and better off, they specialize in you. Give them a call at 1-800-304-3986 or visit them at rs2000tax.com. Make sure you tell them we sent you. There you go. So, hey, you know what? Speaking of taxes, Driver Inc. is back in the news again today. If you're not sure what Driver Inc. is, this is where it's a misclassification of employees. So a lot of drivers who are actually employees are running around like they're owner-operators. That helps the company avoid paying any payroll taxes, and also says doesn't take tax off of the driver's the amount of work the driver does off their paycheck. The problem is the driver is responsible for all of those taxes and usually doesn't realize it because they don't own the equipment. They have no write-offs. And so what they do is they get this huge tax bill. And because they're classified like that, they are not, they're not allowed to have any of the protections of a regular employee as far as firing or anything like that. And it's been causing some problems. It's causing problems for carriers. Carriers were the first ones to start yelling out on this. Some of the legacy carriers to say, hey, you know what? We can't compete when they're not paying their taxes and we have to pay all of our taxes. And, you know, so people are undercutting the bills and the invoices was getting all kinds of crazy. So the carriers were the first ones to get in this. In fact, it was even coming into job fairs where people are coming to your table. I've been to a number of job fairs where drivers are coming up and go, do you operate under the Driver Inc. model? Now, some are saying it's legal. Some are saying it's not. There's a gray area for those of you that are on a lease-to-own program. You're kind of in the middle of that, but you're more owner-operator because once you're signed on as lease-to-own, you actually own the equipment. Well, now the Teamsters are getting involved, and when the Teamsters get involved, things usually start getting ugly. We had the carriers involved. We had some of the drivers involved that had been screwed. We had the MTO, not the MTO, but the CRA was involved. WSIB has been getting involved, and now the Teamsters are involved. Now, I'm not sure it's doing anything because there doesn't seem to be any enforcement. There seems to be a lot of talk about it. A lot of people agree on the problem, but they don't seem to be doing anything about it, which is, well, kind of odd. So taxation avoidance and labor abuse are the main problems. And saying that people that drive under the Driver Inc. model are usually more reckless because they're just trying to make money. They don't invest in safety. They don't do any of those things. And there's some big carriers. You'd be surprised. I know a couple names. I'm not going to say them here in the program, but there's a couple names of carriers that are doing this. And shame on you. And they're big carriers. And so, of course, if you're not paying your taxes, that leaves you an extra right off the bat, just assuming that, you know, everybody's at that 30 to 40% tax bracket or more. That's 40% more that you've got to put in a business that somebody that's paying the taxes does not have in overhead or cash to put in. Right? So some of these guys have got lots of big trucks on the road, and you better be careful, you know, because they're incorporating people, and what they're doing is they're doing a lot of this with immigrants that do not understand our culture necessarily. They're new to Ontario, that kind of thing. So they're saying it's a real problem on the roads, and WSIB and MTO, for example, are showing data in safety performance records for driver incorporations captured under WSIB's enforcement efforts show a clear trend of non-compliance having spilled over effect into the areas of safety management, and this puts a further risk to drivers on the road, of course. And CTA and Teamsters have been calling on all levels of government to put an end to the labor misclassification and tax scam known as Driver Inc. We call it Driver Inc. in Canada. California is doing the same thing. California, they had another name for it down in California, but it's the exact same thing. And they're thinking that a lot of owner-operators might actually be washed out because a lot, you know, a leased-on owner-operator is not actually operating as a true owner-operator. So depending on how the contract is written, you know, if you think of a leased owner-operator, many times a leased owner-operator has all their safety training done by the company. A lot of times all their stuff is paid by the company, and then sometimes it's paid back depending on the agreement. But a lot of stuff, they're dispatched by the company. You know, usually they're bringing the truck to work, so that's where the owner-operator, and I think that's fine. But you get into the owner-operators that have their own authority. That's a true independent owner-operator. So then you've got the lease program guys who are kind of like, it's a company truck. They lease on, they sign on. They don't pay for anything. They just get into a brand new Peterbilt and go down the road. And but they're running as an owner-operator. And those are the ones that usually come crying later going, well, I lost $80,000. Yeah, because you didn't realize what you were getting into. So that's one of the problems there. So now they're trying to get everybody into this. CTA and Teamsters are calling for all levels of government to put an end to this scam. Remove all labor protections for workers and creates an unlevel competitive playing field for participants that do not pay taxes, and expands the underground economy. So they've written to all of the ministers. Not sure. Not sure where it's going. We keep seeing this every year, but we don't see anything really being done. Probably the biggest thing I saw was last year when a group of drivers from Brampton went to the owner's home to demand their money back because he had been keeping money for incidents and all that kind of stuff. And we just talked about that not too long ago on one of our podcast episodes. So go check that out, especially in the Q&A section there, Lead Pedal Q&A. We talked about that because somebody was asking if they had an incident, is it illegal for the company to, and they were surprised. They were running in that Driver Inc. model. So actually, yeah, the company could, not saying they should do it, but they did do it. And then they say repeat. So they're saying now that they've got to get really good on this, and that the repeat offender should not be able to operate. Now, this is the question I have all the time. If you are an owner, if you're a bad owner, like that guy that had the Humboldt accident, that carrier should never have been in business. He had violations many times, changed his corporation number. That should not be allowed to happen. You should be, you should have to show the person that you're the head of the company. And even if you change corporation numbers, if you're the same person, you're not allowed to open that new corporation. Especially in that industry, if you're, because you're going to really kill somebody here. So they say these corporations have a clear, blatant disregard for their workers' public safety and the responsibilities of business to pay their fair share. And many trucking corporations who make it a standard practice to operate outside the law will attempt to avoid consequences of their actions by registering numerous safety fitness certificates across multiple jurisdictions. So, what they're going to do about it, they don't know. They've just written to they want to clamp down. We've been hearing that for years. The Teamsters, the old Teamsters would have just blocked the road and called it a day. But they're not doing that here. Anyway, we're going to be right back after a little highway driving here by the road. Birds, stay with us. We got more stories coming up. Distracted driving is back in the news again. And that's right. It's something that we all got to think about here. 10%, they say 8 in 10 people are actually distracted driving. That's 79% of and Transport Canada's National Collision Database says that an estimated 21% of fatal collisions and 27% of serious injuries were collisions in 2016. So it's not getting any better out there. They say there's an upward trend of distracted driving. You see it if you're on the road at all. People do not even care. They don't even hide it. Like they just, I don't see a cop around me. Now, I gotta tell you that there's some serious penalties out there, and of course they changed it back in 2019. They went up. I don't think they went up far enough at $1,000, but I'm sure that somebody who's got one. But then they got second 2,000, third for 3,000. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're saying now that wearable tech is distracted now too, because people are looking at their watch or whatever. It does all kinds of stuff, and I don't know. It's remember the days when you just drove? Teaching my kids to point out orange trucks from Schneider or green trucks from that other company, and I won't repeat what we used to teach them what they meant, but we all know the risks of distracted driving. It is just crazy out there. It takes just a minute, especially this time of year with snow and ice and the rest of it. It's just nuts out there. But I found that, I don't think this is ever going to go. I don't know what your comments are. Think about this, but I don't know what your comments are. That, by raising fines, all that stuff is not going to change it. We have to change ourselves, but they're putting more of it in the car, right? You don't even have to have a phone anymore. The tablet's on the dash of the car, and all the options. Holy jeez, if you don't set them up ahead, you're never getting anywhere, right? So it's not going away. Distracted driving's not going away. Here's some of the fines for BC. It's $368 minimum fine. Can't use 2 earbuds connected to a phone, even if off. So, because you're not supposed to have headphones on while you drive, right? So you got to always have one ear open. Folks, do not make it the ear that's outside of the window on your left. Have a little common sense. Use the other one, right? On to Alberta, $300 minimum fine. If you're distracted by your dog, you can get a ticket. How many dogs have you seen running around on the front seat of a car? That too is Saskatchewan. Use or touch a cell phone while driving. It's a $580 minimum fine, and you can be charged for eating, smoking, grooming, operating a GPS, reading maps, and interacting with pets or passengers. So there you go. Saskatchewan's a tough one. Now you're allowed to, and again, it's up to their discretion. If it's your navigation fixed into your dash, you're allowed to press the button. But as you know, I don't know about you guys, I find the navigation in the trucks, in our truck, I've got a pickup truck, is not as good as the one on my phone. So I use my phone one more. I use the other one just for seeing road signs and stuff like that. So that's a real problem. In Manitoba, I use a handheld electronic device, $672 minimum fine. This is the minimum fines I'm giving you, so they can go up from there. Ontario, use of a handheld device unless calling 911 or hands-free, $615 minimum fine. Eating, drinking, and grooming are not listed in the legislation, but can still be covered distracted driving. So, and I know out by the London area of Ontario, the OPP out there are very prominent in giving people fines for eating and drinking. So that's the thing. Quebec, operating and holding any handheld portable device, phones, tablets, laptops, media players while driving or stopped at a red light, unless calling 911, $300 minimum fine. You can also be fined $100 to $200 if caught wearing earphones or headphones in both ears while driving. Again, one only, and do not make it obvious that you're doing that by placing it on the right-hand side at least. New Brunswick, texting, calling, programming, GPS, or touching electronic devices, unless $172.50. I'm not sure how they got to $172.50. They just said, let's just divide it up. Even worse is Nova Scotia, $233.95. We're not going to 234. It's too high for people. PEI, $575 minimum fine. Newfoundland and Labrador, holding or operating a handheld device or driving with a television or driving with a television in front of a driver's seat, a minimum 3. Yes, you cannot put your TV on the dash. I got a 58-inch one here in the studio. Not sure how it's going to fit. Northwest Territories, minimum $322 fine or $644 in a school zone. There you go. In a school zone for sure. Yukon, holding or operating a cell phone or a handheld electronic device, minimum $500 fine. And none of it has no formal penalties. Minimum fine of $115 for careless driving if caught texting or driving. In other words, go for it, man. Anyway, there's some of the distracted driving fines around the country. Whatever you do, folks, police yourself. Don't get involved with that. You want to come home safe doing what you do. All right, so let's get into ageism. This is something, when you're going. How many of you have looked for a job or thought that maybe you're too old to get a job or what have you? Well, I came across an interesting article by Richard Branson. I'm a big Richard Branson fan, and he says, how does experience stack up against education? How do you address ageism? So they want to know, as somebody who's hired thousands of people for his company, who do you choose? So do you hire someone with a degree? Do you hire somebody with experience? Do you think that someone straight out of school with a degree is more suited to a position than someone with years of experience and a desire to continue learning? And he says he's encountered both of those, and that's he's encountered ageism, and more than recently, he feels like he's still in his 30s, but I know several others are experiencing similar things. So a lot of people will look at age, and with the average age of a truck driver being around 55 years of age right now. There's a lot of people who are looking at drivers and going, you're too old. Now, I think the trucking industry is a little different because there's so many opportunities for drivers, and I've known drivers who are 70, 80, 90, still cranking it out, doing it well. I know the others that are 40 and couldn't get around the corner if they tried. So that's a little bit of a difference. But I always think, because I'm a high school dropout, and the nice thing about Richard Branson, he was a high school dropout too at the age of 15. I left at the age of 17. So I feel that I'm in very good. What he looks for, and this may be something that you want, if you're trying to get a job, maybe you're looking for a job, maybe you're attending the Trucking Network job fair, and you're going to be talking to a ton of recruiters. Depending on where you are in your career, characters first. So he says he always bases character first. If he's going to hire someone, he looks at their character. Are they honest? Are they all those traits, right? Are they on time? Are they reliable? All that stuff. And then he says he looks at life experiences. So, if you've been a driver for a long time, if you look at someone like myself, so let's just take me as a perfect example of this, right? Because I'm one of those drivers. I stopped driving 15 years ago. Probably the last time that I've actually turned a wheel in a commercial tractor trailer. It's probably 8 years ago now. I stopped commercially 15 years ago. Still have my license. Still interested in getting on the road a little bit, because I'm kind of missing it a little bit. And so if I was in line for a job with another person who's brand new, who would they hire? Okay, because I'm perfect. I'm this scenario right now, right? Okay, so you look at character. Okay, hopefully, if I've done things right, and I think I have, I've got a pretty good name, pretty good character. So I think people would be reliable. I'm still involved in the industry, so it's not like I've been away from the industry for 15 years. I've been involved with it, still doing things. Have life experience. Certainly have life experience for that. So I think character and life experience I have. He looks for unique skills. Okay, so the new person might have character. They probably don't have any life experience, or it depends what they did before and depends on the age. But assuming that the person's fairly young and just come out of school, probably doesn't have as much life experience as I would, because I'm 60 years old. Has unique passions. Okay, so do you have unique skills? Yeah, I've got some unique skills, whether they're behind the wheel or not. I mean, I'm very good at trip planning. I've never been late for meetings, those kind of things. So I've got some unique skills there. I'm passionate about the industry, and I've got strong values about how things should work and why they should work and how you treat people. So the new person may have some of those. They may have some unique skills too. They might be passionate. It's they could certainly be passionate, and they might have good values. So if you're looking at the two of us, you're looking at two ends of the spectrum, but you're also looking at different skill sets. But if you're looking at strictly education, and so then you're going to go to the young person and go, well, you got a university degree and you just come out of truck driving school, so you get the job, you might be hiring the wrong person, right? So it takes a lot of work to learn on the job, but I've always enjoyed doing that. You've got to be good at teamwork. So is a person good at teamwork? Could they possibly be somebody to mentor somebody? You got to learn from your mistakes. You got to trust your instinct. These are some of the things that you learn on the job that you would not learn somewhere else. So he goes on to say that he's all about teaching skills for life in school instead of teaching a lot of those things, and I agree with that. I don't think they teach enough life skills. They teach they're so focused on getting you a bank job, they forget how to teach you how to cook, and all that kind of stuff. So I think they need to change some of that stuff in the schools. Just my opinion. But he says a lot of people may have an age of 70 years old, but and I know lots of people who are 70 and they look like they're 50. I know some people who are 40 and look like they're 70 too. So it doesn't matter where you are. So if you're going for a job, or maybe you're one of those older people who've been out of the workforce for a little bit and you're going back for some reason, or you're trying something new, then push those that experience level, push that character level, push that value level a little bit further, and that might put you in front of the pack. Because you can be like Hank Snow and you can just say, hey man, I've been everywhere. You know how it goes, right? Hey folks, have you heard about Transrep? Well, there's a number of services that you may know of that name because they've been around for a while, but you may not know exactly what they do. Isn't that the way with all of us when we have many things on our plate? But let me tell you what Transrep does. Their services include merger and acquisition. So if you're trying to get your company ready for sale, they can help you with that. Consulting services, executive recruitment. Are you someone looking for a better opportunity? And they also help you with business development. Are you somebody trying to get your business going or get your business off the ground? You know, people say when they're going with Transrep, they're going because Transrep is committed to helping their clients reach their goals. They say that they're constantly striving to provide solutions, even for issues they aren't even aware of yet. That's right. Transrep knows when you need some help, even before you know it. They've got an experienced team and a large network which reaches across several sectors, and it's always growing. And they are highly confident in the promise to serve you better. That's right. They don't take their jobs lightly. They know that you need to be successful for them to be successful. So where can you learn about that, their events that they put on, and much, much more? The best place to go is to transrep.ca. Hey, and if you go over there and you're talking to the team over there, would you please let them know that the Lead Pedal Podcast sent you? Thanks very much, everybody. Talk to you. All right, so join us on our LPR live show if you want to see it. It's going to be changing in the month of April. We've got to move some shows around because we've got a couple shows that are ending. So we'll be moving our schedule around again as of April 1st. So LPR Live usually is on a Wednesday morning. We'll probably be moving to a Tuesday morning as of April 1st. Right after Trucker Radio Show is ending, unfortunately. But we have some great stuff coming up here, and you're going to enjoy that show. Join us every, like I say, Tuesday morning in the future for the show, and we'll keep bringing you a few of the highlights here on the podcast. All right, everybody, talk to you later. Be good out there. Thanks for listening.
This has been another episode of the Lead Pedal Podcast. For more information or to subscribe to the podcast, visit theleadpedalpodcast.com and be sure to follow the podcast on Facebook and Twitter.